Hello students, and welcome to this presentation on the Wilson years. So, today we'll be looking at the economic aspect, but first let's have a quick preview on the Wilson years. Wilson was in power between 1964 and 1970. During this reign, he won the 1964 general election, lost the 1970 general election, and won the 1966 general election. He took over from Macmillan and the Conservatives in power, and himself and the Labour Party came into power of the country. So overall, he handled the economy poorly, and he should have gone devaluation earlier, and this had many social and liberal implications. Furthermore, he didn't listen to those voters that were voting for him, and this ultimately led to his downfall in the 1970 election. The key concept or key issue which they weren't listening to their voters about was immigration. So let's have a look at the political or economic events. Brown's National Plan was a political success but an economic failure. Brown's National Plan was a political success for two reasons. Firstly, it won them the 1966 general election because voters thought, wow, this plan targets 3.2% economic growth and a 5.4% increase in exports, and so people instantly believed, well, this is the way forward. However, these plans could never be fulfilled because reflationary measures would have to be put in place, whereas deflationary measures were occurring. So the plan was never going to work, and it also worked politically because he kept Brown, who ran the plan, George Brown, away from himself, Wilson. And this was good because he was an arch rival of Wilson's, and so it made sure that he didn't split the party whilst he had no real rival to his reign as the leader of the Labour Party. So, as well as this, when the Labour Party underwent devaluation for the UK in 1967, he looked politically weak for two reasons. He said, it won't affect the value of the pound in your pocket. This is the complete opposite. The pounds in people's pockets were worth less, and this was lying to the voters, and when you don't have trust with the voters, you're not going to be as popular. Furthermore, a backbencher in Parliament said, why are you going to devalue, and are you going to devalue? To this, he ignored the question and moved on, and this meant that £50 million worth of pounds were sold on the stock market to try and avoid a serious crash. And this effectively was poor handling by Wilson to be going into Prime Minister's questions the day before devaluation occurred. Another political or economic event was the Roy Jenkins being at Treasury in 1968. He introduced taxes which were to raise £923 million. However, these were to just basically pay off the debt that Labour owed and weren't to fulfil the liberal and social reforms they had in place, such as housing, as well as schooling. And on your screen now are three pieces of information which provide economic indicators during their time. So they reduced the expenditure on defence, which is a good indicator, as it shows they're reintroducing that money in other areas. The payment deficit is also a very good statistic to be using because it shows that they improved the economy. However, the social implications of the change of the economy can be seen on the bottom right of the screen, a 4 million increase in the amount of working days lost. This significant number is a poor, it's a good piece of evidence, but it shows how poor the economy was because it affected people socially. They were striking and they didn't like the fact that the Labour Party had handled the economy so poorly. So now to the mainly economic points. In 1964, the first economic crisis was the balance of payments. It was so bad that the government introduced deflationary measures. These are things which reduce prices, so they increased tax, they increased or implemented a charge on imports, and they cut government expenditure. In 1966, they should have devalued when the seamen went on strike, which lowered exports, and people doubted the pound. Wilson should have devalued, however, he didn't listen to his cabinet and introduced more deflationary measures. Now that meant more taxes, more charge on imports, and a cut in expenditure. This meant that the voters, which had got them into power, were experiencing some of the worst economic conditions at the time. Sorry about that. And that is the end of the lesson. Please visit our website at www.revisealevel.co.uk for more information on this element of history and many other elements. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have fun revising. Many thanks.